Okay, and we're live. This is Deacon Joseph Sweden on the Orthodox Apologetics channel. We're kind of winding down. This was supposed to be an episode where we finally do the last Hildebrand episode. I don't see Bishop Enoch. I sent him a link, so he may show up here. If he doesn't, though, that's fine. I was just going to go through some of the topics that we're going to discuss over the coming weeks. We're obviously not going to be doing a show on Palm Sunday or Pascha. Those are two of the busiest days in the church, and frankly, I'm just not going to be in. We're not. No. So the next show will be the week after for Thomas Sunday, Low Sunday, the 26th new style. We'll be doing a show, but not in the next couple of weeks, because we should all be focusing on the end of Lent and the beginning, and Pascha, the beginning of everything. And so, anyway, so what we're going to do today, as long as I'm here, I can answer questions, but I'm going to go over a brief overview of some of the future episodes and what's going to be going on, because we've had some interesting stuff pop up. There was a fellow, Rory, who gave me a link to, I guess, a Protestant who wrote 5 reasons why he's not Orthodox. He did some YouTube thing. And I saw it. I can answer it. I thought about that. That'll be one of the things that we're going to be doing soon, along with the Hildebrand episode. And then we are going to also be doing a couple of other ones. The first one is a lot of people have seen that aspect 719, 721, whatever he is. He's converted to Roman Catholicism, and he's been back and forth emailing with me about talking to John Colarafi. Now, John Colarafi was the second half of the dynamic duo of Butler and Colarafi, who wrote Jesus, Peter, and the Keys. I debated with them over the phone as a catechumen many years ago, and 21 years ago, if we're going to be specific, or 22 years ago. And so the point is, our friend aspect 721 basically said, "You have not debated John Colarafi." I'm like, "No, I did over the phone," but I said, "You can always have him on our show." He sends me a copy of this unpublished book. Keep in mind that if you know anything about me, you know that I debated with somebody named Gerald Daffer about 20 years ago. One of the people in Gerald Daffer's corner, or 2 of the people in Gerald Daffer's corner, were Butler and Colarafi, who used their unpublished texts, Keys Over the Christian World. Well, guess what? 20 years later, I have a copy of the text in front of me because Euthemius is trying to convert me. And I look, and what's his evidence? He sends me a copy of this unpublished work, Keys Over the Christian World. And I think to myself, hey, guys, it's been 21 years. You can pretty much publish anything you want yourself online for free. Why haven't they published this? So, of course, I start reading it, and I think that's going to be one of these episodes where we're going to clown on this unpublished book until they actually publish it, because you can do it for free at lulu.com. If they do come across this, or if anyone wants to send this to them, just let them know that they can self-publish their work at lulu.com. And the reason why I'm saying that, not because anyone's paid me, but because I'm sick and tired of seeing a book that's unpublished uses evidence against orthodoxy when it's been unpublished for 20 years. That's unacceptable. That needs to stop. Go publish your book. That way everyone can make fun of it, and then we can all talk about that later. The other thing is, I was watching, because I did a little thing about Eric Ibarra's recent objection to Eastern Orthodoxy, and he talked about the objection that he'd end up becoming true Orthodox. So I was like, that's no big deal. So I decided to watch one of the later episodes, I think the latest episode of Reason and Theology, and there's this guy called Dr. Echeverria or something. So I'm watching this thing, and I realized that there's a lot more modernism in modern Roman Catholic thinking and apologetics than I originally thought. I wonder if I can even find that. Hold on, I want to see if I can actually put this on the screen, and I'll just see if I can get to it. Let me see here. Hold on one second, okay? It'll take me just a moment. Let me see here. I go there, and we go into the handy YouTube. Wow, they've done a few since then. They did one today. Okay, they were talking to some some I guess Muslim guy. I don't know. Let's see here. And then this, I think this is it. Hold on. Let's see. Okay, so we're gonna go back a little bit. Or any of that thing. So you have to Matei as a you have the new. Okay, so I gotta find it. And we got that's sorry about that, guys. So it'll take me a few, but in any case, there will be another episode talking about this Roman Catholic modernism. The idea that shocked me was they started talking about reversals in the church, and then they said basically, well, the early church was against icons, and then it reversed itself with the Seventh Ecumenical Council. Well, that's actually like a false reading of history. The Seventh Ecumenical Council produced session upon session upon session of testimony upon testimony upon testimony of father upon father, examples from the entire history of the church to demonstrate without doubt that iconography was part of the Orthodox tradition of the church. To say the church reversed itself just shows you don't know what actually happened at the Seventh Ecumenical Council. So I think it's kind of important that we do a show on these modernistic assumptions that are almost always they sound like old Protestant assumptions, and unfortunately, it's kind of sad. But that's basically something that needs to be addressed. You have to, when you're talking to your interlocutor, you have to have some basic foundations to work with, and when the foundations you have to work with are false, there's no way to have a real discussion. I can have a discussion on whether or not the church believed in iconography. I cannot take it as a priori that the church didn't and changed. That's false. There's no way to do that. So anyway, that was it. I didn't want to, keep on delaying things because we're busy, but we are. And so if anyone has any questions, I'd be glad to, take them. And that's okay if otherwise, I'll be here for another, probably 10 minutes or so at the least, just to make sure that we can take those. So basically, besides the Hildebrand show, we have the Let's Deal with the Modernism show. We have the Let's Deal with the Protestant show. We have the Why Don't the Butler and Colarafi dynamic duo ever publish their book, which has been around for 20 years, and why do they have to send it to the credulous over email quietly with no one knowing? I mean, why not just, flatly put the thing out if it's so good? And obviously, I think it's because they know deep down it's not, and they don't want to subject it to public scrutiny. So, lots of things to talk about. I'm sure more things will be discussed in the apologetical world. I have not, I don't follow everything, but I do follow some things. And so I think it'll be good if we can do that. Today I basically had a discussion about the Immaculate Conception on Twitter, and it turned out to be that people are really getting fooled by people like Father Lev Gallet. The underlying assumption is that he was an Orthodox monk. He was not. He was a Roman Catholic infiltrator who pretended to become an Orthodox monk. And so, unfortunately, when you have data like that, it's bad data, and so people would assume that the Greek text of St. Photius is saying something that it was not necessarily saying. So I think that it's important because when you're dealing with, and this is particularly true when you're dealing with papists, you have to realize that they'll take a maybe and turn it into a definite yes, and then say you have to believe it too. And so it's a backwards sort of thinking where you're supposed to extrapolate what is clear out of the fathers. Their kind of the methodology is to extrapolate what is clear from their current teaching and then kind of read it back into the fathers. That's anachronism. And so it's a very dangerous way of exegeting. It's a terrible way of doing apologetics. But the point is that's kind of what you deal with, but anyway, I'm just glad that there are more and more Orthodox apologists doing more and more Orthodox stuff and shows and YouTube stuff. I'm very impressed with a lot of it. I'm so glad to see this, and I want to help support it. And I want everyone that listens and everyone who is kind of a fan. If you're not Orthodox already, become Orthodox. You gotta join the church. And I realize it's difficult right now. We're in this coronavirus thing where everyone is closing their doors. Really shouldn't be. I mean, we didn't do this during the Spanish flu, so. But in any case, it's people are doing it. And they're blaming, of course. I saw that they were blaming Christians on Twitter for, causing the spread of the coronavirus. I'll tell you, you go to a Walmart this Sunday afternoon, 99% of those people weren't going to church. So they're just using this as a pretext to attack us. This was something that's been predicted for a very long time. So this is where we are now. But we have to struggle. We have to contend. We have to find a way to make it. And especially for Palm Sunday and Pascha, there was nothing sadder than seeing the Church of the Holy Sepulchre being locked. That hasn't happened since 1349 during the wave of the Black Death. But if this isn't the Black Death, this is a bad flu. We're taking levels of precaution that are unprecedented. And I'm not saying that there's no precaution necessary, but I wish they'd use more precaution at the local Walmart than shutting down the churches, because right now people can congregate and get massive amounts of flu much more easily than in any Orthodox church in my region. So I think that what's happening is this is an example of government trying to demonstrate the power of its own overreach. And it's unfortunate, but this is where we are now. It's scary, but we're still going to have to do a procession. We're still going to have to pray. We're still going to have Pascha. How everyone does it, I don't know. I know how I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it the exact same way I did last year. Only difference is no flower shops, no palms. However, the church does, and this is why the church uses willows, because the church in Russia, palms are not native to Russia. And the Western Rite services clearly say branches, palms, and flowers. So the whole point is, even if I can't find palms, we can still find flowers. We can still find branches. So you see, there's always a way, because we have survived thousands of years of pandemics. We have survived thousands of years of plagues. And the point is, you still have to go on. And I feel like a lot of what people are doing now is kind of making excuses for it. And that's not good. And it's not healthy. And it's not helping Christians. But what am I going to say? As people like to say, I am a schismatic old calendarist. Well, I hope that I've seen some stuff from old calendarists doing the same thing. And I think that that's tragic. Not our old calendarists, but I have seen that. I think it's a little bit tragic. But we continue on. We have to. And I think because I wasn't going to let this show end till after Pascha without saying something. And I am here to answer questions, as of course, or comments are welcome. But the point is, it would be wrong to completely blank out and not explain why. And the reason why is because next week is Palm Sunday, next week is Pascha, and as far as I'm concerned, God willing, if I am still as healthy as I am right now, then everything is going to go as scheduled. And not like I've got a big giant congregation anyway. It's mostly family. But the point is, actually, it's all family right now. But the point is that, I think, keeping safe is an important thing. I will say also, a lot of people have talked about hydrochloroquine. If you follow me on Twitter, I've mentioned quinine a lot. I have read reports that President Trump said quinine, and it scared the daylights out of me because if he utters the very word quinine, you will not be able to buy it. I suggest, in all seriousness, buy a few bottles. 1 full liter. Don't read the idiocy you hear on the internet. 1 full liter is approximately 1 dose of a light dose of quinine. So you can use those. Hydrochloroquine is basically a hydroxyl of chloroquine, which is it's basically a safer form of quinine. The truth is, quinine's pretty safe anyway, as long as you don't overdose on it. So I've read people say, "Oh, I'm drinking 10 gallons of." Oh, one guy said 5 gallons of tonic water a day. You drink 5 gallons of tonic water a day, you are going to die. Take a liter. It's a full dose, and you're good for the day. But as long as he doesn't say the magic words tonic water, and then cause a buyout like you've never seen before, go to the supermarket, buy a few bottles of tonic water, and if you feel yourself getting the sniffles, just drink one down on whatever medications you normally take. You'll be fine. Have faith more than anything else. This is where if we live in fear, um, then we are no better than any religious group, any not. We're just weak people. We Our strength is in our faith, and our faith moves us to action. And so, if the action is doing a little bit of nothing, then it's unacceptable. We have to be better. We have to be better than that. And no matter what, I mean, as I said, Christians today are the bad guys. They're trying to blame us for the spread of the virus. Um, the truth of the matter is, they were going to blame us anyway. So operate as normal. Um, anyway, if anyone has any questions, comments, thoughts, please put them in the chat. I will be here for another, let me see here, another 12 minutes or so. Make it nice and even, for a 30-minute show. It's not much, but I would be glad to answer any questions. I would be glad to, if there's any comments, if you want to call me a heretic. I mean, whatever you feel, whatever you feel like saying. No, I would not mind at all. But anyway, um, so not much else to discuss. I mean, we are here. We're at the cusp. Passion Sunday. We're at the cusp of the end of Great Lent, and I hope that everyone celebrated it well. I hope that everyone celebrated it piously as best they were able. So many churches have already closed down. I'm hoping that they reopen, and they reopen soon. I'm hoping. I would hate to see the Holy Fire, the Holy Sepulchre, and such disaster to close down the church. As I said, that had not been done in 671 years, and it was for the Black Death. The bubonic plague is not the flu, and it's kind of sad. It would not surprise me if the Israeli authorities ordered it. This is the excuse. It would be sad. It would be genuinely shameful, and I hope they reconsider. In the meantime, I don't know what's going to happen, but other than that, I can't say that much else of anything is happening. As I mentioned, if you weren't here at the beginning, basically we're doing, I was laying out the shows we're going to do. I'm not doing the Hildebrand show tonight. Bishop Enoch is not here, and I could find sources, but I wanted it to be much better because he keeps all these in a folder, and he's just a wealth of knowledge. You all know that. And then do a show about modernist axia, presuppositions, and then do a show about the recent Protestant video about 5 reasons why I'm not Orthodox. And then a show talking about Butler and Colarafi's book and why won't they publish it? Because I'd like to know. You can publish for free, as I've mentioned. So anyway, we'll be talking about those things, and we'll take a look at other topics. But in any case, as I said earlier, I am here for questions and comments for another 11 minutes. I will be glad to interact, and we'll see. But if, other than that, I should get like some pious music or something while we wait. Yeah, you know what? That's what I'm going to do. I know what I'm going to do, people. Hold on a second. This is going to be so cool, folks. Okay, now I'm going to go there. And I'm going to go here. And we're going to do, okay, so to keep this going, let's see here. Hold on. Looking for something. You're gonna love this, guys. While we wait for questions and comments over the next 11 minutes, I am going to put on okay, now I'm gonna go back here. Watch this, guys. Okay. Okay, so well, okay, so we got two questions, and we will. I'm going to close out with these. The first one was from Royal Inglis. Are you following what Bill Gates has been pushing with ID 202, ID 2020, and Corona vaccines? Yes, I have. It is terrifying. Apparently, there was something that the Gates Foundation was behind. You can actually watch. They actually plotted this out in a simulation in November. Amazingly, it is on YouTube. I think it might be called Outbreak or something like that. But it's a scenario. For those who don't know, the idea is that they're going to put a corona vaccine in a chip that's updatable and basically try to encourage everyone to wear one. Don't take anything like that. I'm pretty sure that Bill Gates is, well-intentioned, evil globalist scum, and I don't. Not that I'm, judging him, but just, if he wants to chip us all, I'm kind of like, yeah, no. So let's hope that that little ID 2020 initiative fails. I haven't seen any news about it yet. Government is acting in strange ways, though, so be concerned. That could be very, very dangerous. Um, Chris Crawford asks, I was an Orthodox catechumen in a modernist church. It became obvious it wasn't the true Orthodox church. How do I get involved in true Orthodoxy if there are no true Orthodox churches near me? Um, I will say the easiest answer to that question is because people, it's difficult because becoming true Orthodox requires getting out of your comfort zone a little bit. I mean, that's not true in like a really big city like New York, which is exactly where I wouldn't want to be right now, because you'll find that there are true Orthodox churches alongside, New Calendars ones, and they're all in one big jumble. I mean, in the New York area, every major true Orthodox jurisdiction is represented. This is true to some degree in Boston and in California as well, and the big cities. However, if you're not in one of those big cities, you'll find that many of these parishes and missions are actually really small. So the best thing to do, in all honesty, if you're a catechumen, that's actually, I was a catechumen originally in ROCOR, and then the Union, the whole upheaval with Metropolitan Battalion being removed started to happen. But I myself ended up just going to what is now a parish of the Callisto Synod. Back then it was a parish of not Callisto, it's the Calinico Synod. Back then was a parish of Hockna. Honestly, the first thing you need to do, if you are serious about that, is, look up and find the bishops who are confessing, the true faith. Find their phone numbers, find their emails if you can. Give them a call, reach out to them. It's most important. And I usually say the bishops because priests are still, they're much more limited in what they can do, and they can be easily overworked. The bishop can assign a priest to you. The bishop can decide what to be done. So that's what I would suggest in that situation. In all honesty, contact a bishop that that you see and feel confesses the true faith, because that's really what you're supposed to do. Is join the idea, and this is one of the things people don't understand. The idea that there's like this clear dividing line. It's clear to me, but it's not necessarily clear to other people. Is the idea is that if your bishop is preaching heresy, then you have to, or if the priest is preaching heresy and the bishop won't do anything about it, then you have to find a bishop who does. And that's really where I leave it at, because ultimately it is the bishop who divides the word of truth, and the bishop is usually responsible for what his priests are saying. So that's what I would suggest. In any case, if there are no other questions, we're going to wait it out for another minute or two. And, thank you for your questions, Chris, Will. And so, but again, the key is always maintaining the true faith as established. It's not, I'm not going to sit here and say my jurisdiction is right. Your jurisdiction, I don't know even what jurisdiction you're in, and I don't want to know. And then, okay, JG asks the question. He says, how does the Orthodox Church deal with tares among the wheat and goats among the sheep? Well, it depends on what we're talking about. If we're talking about sinners, well, then it's dealt with through confession, through the mysteries, and ultimately judgment. If we're talking about heresy, the people separate themselves. This is what has happened historically over the past 2,000 years. And so that's, the church itself, it, again, at the episcopal and synodal level, has to say something when there is something that is dividing the flock. And when they don't say something, the flock falls away. In the case of Rome 1,000 years ago, it was actually far worse. I mean, it was a bloody civil war that spread throughout Europe, in order to create what would be known as the Roman Catholic Church. But I think this situation is much, much simpler. It is much clearer because of the fact that ecumenism, as I like to say, and I've pointed this out, ecumenism is the worst and best heresy at the same time. It's the worst pan-heresy because it combines all religions. It's the best pan-heresy because of the fact that it creates such indifference in its members that they can't reproduce. You're never going to find like modernists like being like, ecumenists being like, yeah, kids, don't forget every religion is just as good as ours, and those kids are going to stay in church. It doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. So it actually kills off the faithful. This is a very unique thing, and that's why a lot of churches are emptying. And so churches that are against that and are starting to be like, this ecumenism thing is really a bad idea, they start growing. And so the point is, the church the Holy Spirit deals with it in in his own way. But in this particular case, especially the case of ecumenism, it's a pretty much a self-solving problem. So thank you for that, JG. And again, thank all of you for listening. We wanted to say thanks to everybody, for listening, for commenting, for liking, subscribing, spreading the message, and talking about the true faith. Don't be afraid to discuss the true faith. Just always follow the teachings of the fathers, and God will guide you. With that, if you missed it before, we won't be having a show for next week because it's Palm Sunday, and we won't be having a show for the week after that because it's Pascha. So our next show will be New Style on the 26th of April, and this was just a quick, and hopefully we finally get to the final Hildebrand episode, and God willing, we're all healthy, we're all sound, and we're all spiritually improved by this great Lent. I wish all the best of these 2 weeks coming up, especially a most joyous and blessed Holy Week. And all of you have a great night, and be safe, everyone. Take care.